I'm Aaron,
I'm Alex.
and apparently we're both Phillies fans today. And welcome back into Two in the Booth. If you're watching the video version, you see that we both have Phillies hats. And if you're not watching the video version, what are you even doing?
Well, probably a lot of other things because it seems like everybody else in the world is doing other things than watching our live stream.
Maybe driving, maybe actually trying to do work, a number of other things that could be being done. But thanks for tuning in this week for our edition of this week's podcast. We're going to start with a first-person encounter that one of us had with something that we talked about last week. We mentioned the phenomenon that is tarps off.
Yes.
And one of us went to a Tigers game this weekend, who shall remain nameless. He's the one wearing the sunglasses. Again, you'd have to be watching the video version to know that. But yeah, observations from the whole tarps off phenomenon, Alex?
So yeah, I was at the ball game last Friday night in Detroit, and it was a great night for baseball. Great game on the field, and got to see firsthand the movement that is tarps off, and movement quite literally, because about the seventh inning, maybe bottom of the sixth, men start to move, and they started to move to the far corner section of the upper deck on the third base line. And before you knew it, or before you could even kind of assess what happened, they had already taken over two full sections in the upper deck, and it was expanding into three. And I'm with my brother, and we're at the game, and I'm like, we should take part in this. And it's like, do we want to? It's a long way up there. Like, we're in the lower bowl. We're behind home plate.
Okay. Were you in the suite with the all-you-can-eat food?
No, that would have been a no-brainer. We would not have partook in that. So we were in general seating. But top of the seventh wrapped up, and we're like, we got to go. We got to go. We got to do this. And so we went up there, and immediately every person that joins in is met with the take it off chant. So you show up tarp on, and then take it off pursues. And then you end up tarps off, to which everybody ruckusly applauses. I felt like I was part of something special. We did see a home run while we were tarps off. That was special. I do have some critiques, though.
Okay.
One big critique.
Okay.
Those that are kind of like, I don't know, the instigators, or the
taking their tarps off.
Well, the energy behind it. They don't seem all that baseball informed. The chants that ring out have little to nothing to do with baseball most of the time. And I feel like there's a lot of fun you could have by keeping it baseball centric. And instead, they're doing football chants, they're doing hockey chants, they're doing basketball chants, and then they'll sprinkle in baseball chants. And I'm like, could we at least keep it baseball centered? If you can keep it baseball centered, I think it would go a long way. But that's neither here nor there. I just that was a little frustrating, because you want to participate, and you kind of get the whole twirl your shirt around. On more than one occasion, my brother had to tell somebody next to us he was getting a little fast and loose with his shirt, and we were taking shirts to the face that were not our own.
You were getting shirt whipped?
Yes. It was the equivalent of a grounds crewman getting caught underneath the tarp when they're rolling it out over the field. And so that's also not cool. So just as a matter of decorum, if you're listening to this and you're like, hey, I want to participate, you want to keep a good tight grip on your shirt, and you probably only want to have 6 to 8 inches that are kind of, swirling around. Because once you go 12 to 16 inches, you start to become like a helicopter, and people start to resent you. All around you. But overall, was glad I did it.
No regrets.
You felt like you're part of it. The best part of it was immediately stadium personnel come up to try to police the activity. And then the best part of the chanting was when the chants were directed at the employee of Comerica Park, trying to get him to take his tarp off. And you can watch the visual struggle that goes on, because you're like, this guy wants to, but he also wants to keep his job. I will make a prophecy, though. If there is if this thing is still a trend come playoff time, you will find ushers who will participate in this, because I think at that point when the season's wrapping up, it'll be like, yeah, I'm all in for this. So
What do we have to lose, right?
I felt like the guy was pretty close to, losing his tarp, but he did a calculation and he's like, well, we're still before the All-Star break. I've got a lot of games left to work. I don't want to lose my job today. So
Nice.
But anyway, overall it was really fun. Day at the ballpark was great. Yeah, it was a great game, and just the atmosphere was good. It was good to be in the ballpark. And if you haven't had a chance yet, find a way to a major league park. It's you can do a lot worse on a Friday night in your neck of the woods. So anyway,
Yeah. If you're hearing crackling noises or watching the broadcast and like, man, Aaron seems really distracted, it's because I'm breaking a hobby box of Topps Chrome Platinum cards right now. And as you were talking about your Tarps off experience, I came across this experience.
jacked, man.
Numbered Joey Votto out of 75.
Some might say that's jacked to the tits.
Yeah,
That's great.
Joey Votto himself might even say that.
Joey Votto himself might say that, yes.
So, the darndest things happen while we are talking baseball. Alex and I are both avid collectors and enjoy baseball cards. And as we're recording this, Topps 2026 Series 2 has been dropped, and the 2025 Chrome Platinum has been dropped. And yeah, all sorts of fun times with that. So another situation that took place in baseball. So, of course, the growing Tarps off phenomenon. There were a couple interesting moments over the last week that I thought would be worth highlighting. One of them involving umpires and kind of a fluid rule. So on, I think it was Monday, or it might have been over the weekend, I don't remember. The Orioles, Blue Jays were mixing it up in Toronto, north of the border.
Mm.
And, maybe this is where international law differs from American law, but there is, so the scenario is as follows. Runner on first, less than 2 outs, ground ball hit up the middle. Gunnar Henderson, Orioles shortstop, fields the ball. And of course, there's a force at second. He's past second base because his momentum to field the ball has taken him past second base. So, when you have a runner coming from first to second, a couple different options you can use. You can either step on the bag and the runner's out on a force play, or you can revert to tagging the runner.
Yes.
Now, Alex, if you were a runner running from first base to second base, and I had the ball and was going to try and tag you, what would you probably do?
Well, my first instinct would be to stop in the lane and see what you would do.
And by the lane, you mean like the straight line from first to second?
Just pull up and stop. That would be my first inkling. Naturally, like you're playing tag on the playground, like your natural inclination would be like to try to jerk away from sidestep the glove or what have you. But that's, oftentimes it's a little more dramatic than that on the baseball field. But yeah, you're trying to avoid the tag on some level, I would say is what you try to do.
Avoiding the tag. And the rules of Major League Baseball anticipate the fact that the runner is going to leave his lane, the batter runner lane, to evade the tag, and there is a variance that's allowed for that. So, for example, the runner is allowed to create whatever lane he wants to in between two bags. So first to second, he can establish his running lane. Once he establishes that running lane, he's only allowed like 5 feet on either side, which is kind of subjective in interpreting 5 feet. The situation between the Blue Jays and Orioles was unfortunate because Ernie Clements, the runner on first, and he takes off running for second, and he did not do what your first inclination was. He did not stop. He kept running. As Gunnar Henderson tried to tag him, he scooted out of the way. And from my perspective, it looked like he was way outside the 5 feet. Way outside the 5 feet. So what happens is if you leave your lane and you go outside of that, you take a wide berth to try and evade the tag, you're out for what's called stepping outside the running lane. being outside of the base path. So Gunnar Henderson assumes that Ernie Clement's going to be out because he's outside the runner's lane, does not follow through with the tag, throws the ball to first base, gets the runner going to first base, only to find out that the umpire ruled the batter runner from first to second, ruled him safe at second. Ernie Clement was safe at second because the explanation that was given afterwards was he had not established a running lane when Henderson fielded the ball. And so he was allowed to take the wide berth, I should say. I thought Gunnar Henderson made an interesting point after the game. He was asked about it, and he mentioned if there's any kind of, departure that you're going to take that leaves you 2 feet wide of second base, like you go to slide and you don't even get to second base, you would think that would be way outside the baseline, right?
Not only that, you could make the argument that when a runner leads off of the base before the play even begins, he's established his running lane.
Absolutely.
Because now he has left the base and he has, begun his trip to second before the play even begins. So
yeah,
that's another argument there. But anyway.
Absolutely. So that went down, and that was a frustrating thing. And Shane Baz, pitcher for the Orioles, to that point in the game had been cruising. I think he 5 1/3, gave up 1 run. He was doing real well. And following that safe call, rather than being a double play out of the inning, 1 out left, the Blue Jays went on to score 4 runs. He got pulled in that inning, and he's walking off the mound. He's saying choice words to the second base umpire and staring him down as he's walking off the mound. And I thought to myself, like, that needs to be something that's a reviewable play.
Well, so here's the thing with the review, right? So 5 feet, that's the rule, 5 feet outside the line?
I believe so, yes.
Well, obviously you don't need 5 feet to get around a runner. An extended arm is 2.5 feet or something like that. So you go 5 feet, you're a full length, arm's length outside the tag. So the rule then allows, it would seem, for you to run outside of the extended arm of the defender if you're so inclined, which that's a crazy amount of space, because 5 feet is like the size of an average human in the 1850s. So it's like, that's crazy.
So I believe it's 5 feet, like total, like like it's not 5 feet on either side. It's 5 feet total. Like you can go no more than 5 feet off the baseline.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah, so like you can go 5. If I want to run to my right, I can run up to 5 feet outside of it. No, the reason I bring this up, I've seen this on more than one occasion. Runners on first base, ground balls hit to first, and first baseman tries to turn 2. And what happens is the runner who's on the dirt then cuts into the grass trying to interrupt the throwing lane. And on a new line that's established, trying to get in the way of the throw. And that's just like, that seems a bit underhanded, but that's allowed all the time. Like that happens all the time. Yeah, I there's so much, again, the key word here is subjectivity. And, and again, I think this is one area where people want to know, like, where's the human, where after the automated balls and strikes takes over, Major League Baseball, where is the subjectivity or the human element? Here it is right here. I mean, this is like, it's the umpire's job to make the call. But I think it's so blatant. And again, like when you say it's so, what Ernie Clement did was so blatant.
Correct. Normally that's called,
but you're making that judgment not because you got the tape measure out and measured how far outside the line he was. You're like, that just felt like that was outside the spirit of the rule. And so you're like, okay, so that's a very subjective metric for establishing that, that rationale or whatever. And so, yeah, I don't know, man. I think baseball, in the way that it's been played and the rules have been written, it's created a
lot of leeway with that particular rule application. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, it's interesting though. And it was fun though, watching Shane Baz lose his mind though. That was entertaining. And that's the
He
sort of stuff.
lost his mind in a big
And
way.
this goes back to what I've been saying before the ABS stuff. Like, you lose something spiritually in baseball when managers are not able to come out at the clip they used to and, raise Cain over a, call or a missed call. Like, you just lose something. And
Yeah.
it was fun to see a pitcher absolutely lose his mind on the umpire. Like, that was really great. And
Yeah.
not that we're like asking to do that all the time, but you're just like, that's part of the game. And, it's not necessarily like, the umpires wouldn't appreciate that I say that, but that's kind of part of the experience of going to the ballpark is the tension that exists between the players on the field and the men in black. So
That's right.
I don't know. I don't want to give that up. But in other news, we had a team who is years away from playing full time in their new city.
Yeah.
But the Athletics played their first couple games. First series isn't over yet. First series wraps up tonight. But their first series in Las Vegas at a minor league facility in Las Vegas. And my, oh my, it hasn't rained in Las Vegas in who knows how long, but man, did they make it rain.
It was a pretty epic game
in Las Vegas. And so
15-14, I think, was the final score.
Yeah, 15-14. And Bryce Terang walked it off. Was it the 14th or the 12th inning? I think it was the 12th inning or whatever. And just a crazy game to watch. In addition, they followed up game 2, and game 2 was 7-5, so it wasn't low scoring. The Athletics won their first game in Las Vegas. But apparently they're going to do this periodically where they're going to go from the friendly confines of Sacramento. And but it immediately got the baseball world kind of turning on itself because they're like, whoa, like, if this is a taste of what's to come, we could be in for some massive fireworks because the conditions in Las Vegas seem to be conducive to the ball just like jumping out of the ballpark. And
almost like a Coors Field type vibe.
Except instead of altitude, we're talking about humidity, and we're talking about just dry, just dry, warm weather. And the ball was hopping. And so we'll see what happens. But I think Tarek Skubal saw that and was like, the Athletics just went down his list as far as teams he'd be interested in maybe taking his talents to. So
yeah,
we'll see. But anyway, it was a noteworthy first trek into Las Vegas, and we're one step forward to a full-time franchise playing in Sin City. So,
and I think this guy,
the Big Dumper, check that
might
guy
be
out.
heading to Las Vegas potentially to play for them. I don't know.
You never know.
We've got a Cal Raleigh, whatever that is, X Fractor.
Yes. This last weekend was Play Ball weekend.
What?
Yeah. Everybody had they had patches on their hat. Play Ball weekend. I was wondering if you even try to explain to me, or Major League Baseball could explain to me what that is, because that's not to be confused with Little League weekend or whatever it is that happens later. The players weekend, where the players can wear whatever shoes they want and play with the funny bats. Like, that's not it. Play Ball weekend is itself. And I just, I don't know. I feel like if we're going to keep doing this stuff, we need to explain what it is, because I don't know what exactly Play Ball weekend was.
So I'm pretty sure the Play Ball weekend is an ode to their like Play Ball initiative, where they like try and like, drum up kids participating in MLB activities. And like, I think earlier in the 2000s, it was like a go play ball or something like that.
Some initiative of the Democratic Party, I'm sure.
Some initiative of the Rob Manfred Party.
Yeah, there you go.
But, it definitely an interesting concept. And I didn't take note of that this weekend, but yeah, I was preoccupied with some of the City Connect uniforms.
What are you talking about? El Tejas?
Well, yeah. I tuned into the Tigers. They wore their City Connects on Friday, or maybe the bright orange, right? The bright orange.
No, sir. You apologize. Those are not our City Connect. Those are our new alternate uniforms, and they're the best thing to happen to Detroit since the automobile. And the City Connects are trash, and they should never be worn.
I thought you what? I thought Friday night was City Connect night.
Nope, not anymore in Detroit. That's the other thing. It's not uniform anymore. It's not uniform, no pun intended, across the league, because some nights Friday night is, but now City Connect night are Monday night home games in Detroit.
What?
Yeah. Friday night is alternate jersey night, and doesn't matter where they are. Friday night, they wear orange at home and they wear navy on the road.
Tell me you don't like your City Connect unis without telling me you don't like your City Connect unis. We're going to wear them on Mondays.
Exactly. Right. No kidding. And so that I think that speaks to a broader point, though. League wide, it's Friday night. And again, there's no like rhyme or reason to it. Teams will continue to wear them if they're, playing well. They'll refuse to wear them. They'll do other things. It just, it's kind of bizarre. And so we need to, I don't know, like maybe that is just how it is. Teams should just be allowed to wear whatever uniform just finds their way to their locker on any given day.
I mean, speaking of things that are bizarre, let me introduce you to this.
Is that Bryson Stott?
It is.
Oh, dear. I'm so sorry.
On a purple, whatever kind of parallel this is.
Yeah. About that.
But I get what you're saying. And, here's a fun thing. Let's kind of combine two cultural phenomena. What if we take City Connect and Tarps off and bring it together? And one team is like, you know what? We're ditching our City Connect unis in the 7th inning, and we're going to play Tarps off.
I'll raise you. I love where you're going with this. I love the energy. I'll raise you. It's in football, the coin toss is one of the more, it's a part of the game.
Beloved feature.
The jump ball in basketball, the face off in hockey. When the managers exchange the lineup card, what the managers do is they get a bat out and they do they instead of determining like who bats first, they start to put their hands on top of each other up the bat, and whoever gets the knob, they get to decide if they play Tarps off or if the other team plays Tarps off for 9 innings. And basically baseball becomes shirts versus skins. And that makes it more of a deal because it happens every game. They walk them out there and it's like they kind of exchange the lineup cards and they shake hands and it's like, all right, guys, we're going to determine who's shirts and skins today.
Here's another variation to that. If they tie at the top, the umpires have to go Tarps off.
Well, that would be I think we could be in dangerous ground there, but yeah,
Wendelstadt would probably not like that. However,
no, the John Lipkas of the world though might be a fan, and so
something like that. So anyway, this weekend
we're moving ahead.
This weekend we got some. Well, yeah, I mean we can't keep doing this forever.
Juicy.
I am going to keep pulling some dope cards like this one.
Is
Nacho Alvarez Jr.
What? Talk about great names in baseball right now. Almost as good. It's almost the present day version of Oil Can Boyd.
Yeah, exactly.
Nacho Alvarez.
That's right. This is so this is fun. This is an unnumbered auto.
Yeah. So just a base auto is what we call that in the
It's just kind of a general auto, if you will. Still an auto, but fun stuff. So this weekend,
Sunday night baseball goes to Fenway. The Rangers with a losing record and the Red Sox with a losing record will be playing in Fenway. So that's doesn't move the needle there at all.
Nope. Especially because it's on Peacock and nobody can watch it.
In light of what we just talked about, Colorado is going to Las Vegas to play the Oakland or the Athletics. And so you kind of have Yeah, old hitter friendly meets new hitter friendly in that matchup, and so that's kind
Yeah,
of
dude.
good. Meanwhile, just a couple other things that jump off. Tigers are in Cleveland, interdivisional matchup there. They're trying to dig themselves out of the grave right now at the present.
Word on the street, Tarek Skubel's back this weekend to pitch in that matchup. Yay or
Maybe
nay?
maybe it's his last start in Detroit. The rumor mill is flying right now, and there's a chance that he pitches Saturday. And if his arm survives, then yeah, that is something I want to get into in a future podcast. Maybe we can put this on the agenda for next time. The art of the rehab start.
Well, like the follow up to the art of the deal.
Yeah, there was a manager. He shall remain nameless. We'll call him JP Pinch. We'll call him that. He said, the rehab start is a delicate thing.
Sorry, man, that was awesome. JP Pinch.
In assessing a rehab start, it's a delicate thing because physically it's not the same pitching in a minor league park as it is in a major league park. And I'm like, excuse me? The mound is the same distance from the plate. It's the same height off the ground. Physically, mentally, maybe it's not the same thing, but physically, it's a different thing. I'm like, what are you even talking about? Oh, and this also brings it up. Dude, I got so my feet. What am I doing here? I sat behind at the game on Friday night. I sat behind a Colorado Rockies scout.
What?
If you want to
take a look at his text messages,
dear Colorado fans, I did. I was reading his text thread. I was reading it over his shoulder. Dear Colorado fans, if you want to know why you're in purgatory, it's because you have guys like the guy in front of me employed on behalf of your team assessing talent.
Snap. Was he evaluating nachos the way he was evaluating players?
It just, again, as we head towards a labor dispute where, money and everything will be at the forefront of the conversation, not just the Rockies, but we have guys getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, dozens of times over in every organization to do work that could be done by AI. 2, it could be done from the couch of your living room.
Whoa.
And instead, it's stuff like Kerry Carpenter hits a home run and it was like, good pop off the bat was the note that went down.
Wait, seriously?
Yes. And I'm like, bro,
he's writing down song samples. I like the sound. I like the sound of that.
Struggles, swing and a miss, struggles with the slider. And I'm just like, I don't know. This guy's been in the business a long time, which if my research was in the indicator, he's probably making close to $180,000 a year. And I'm what the heck is going on right now? And then it started to rain, sprinkle, and I sat in my seat because I didn't want my seat to get wet. And then he just took off. So he worked for about 3 innings. And anyway, that it just was concerning to me on a number of levels because I'm like, the age of the scout, I just feel like is long gone, and baseball needs to catch up with that. But what a gig!
Absolutely,
those guys have mastered the system because they found their way into a well-paid job, which involves them going with complimentary Pepsi and a bag of peanuts daily to different ballparks watching baseball games. And I'm like,
did you actually talk to him?
No, we did not talk to him, but I just observed him and he was eating complimentary peanuts and he was drinking. And the usher, the attendant, was very attentive to whatever he needed. And he had a sick backpack that was had a Colorado Rockies decal on it. And I'm like, this is super cool. So
did he leave the game with that sick Colorado Rockies backpack, or was it some sort of way left behind?
He made sure he took it with him, which was stupid. But anyway, I digress. But no, I do want to talk about in the next podcast the art of the rehab start because I've got some thoughts on that. But back to this weekend. Any games you're looking forward to?
Well, I just want to highlight something. This is going to come as no surprise. I said this when it happened, as it was getting ready to happen, and was like, this is going to change this team's fortune. And it has. Zach Wheeler came back from his rehab assignment That from being injured from the thoracic outlet syndrome surgery stuff he had in the offseason, came back. And I said the podcast before he came back, he was going to make his first start in Atlanta. He's got the potential to right the ship that's wrong with the Philadelphia Phillies and get them back on the right track. Rob Thompson got fired. Don Mattingly came in. And since Mattingly became the interim manager and Wheeler came back, Zach Wheeler is on a tear. Like Christopher Sanchez and Paul Skeens. Christopher Sanchez, Paul Skeens, they're rightfully getting the hype for Cy Young. Sure, they deserve it. They've been great. We didn't even talk about Christopher Sanchez's scoreless inning streak that went to 50 2/3 innings. That's pretty impressive. Paul Skeens made Shohei Ohtani look silly last night. But Zach Wheeler's just quietly doing his thing, and the Phillies are almost, well, they're A, above 500, B, they're in second place, still 9 games behind the Braves. I realize that, but they're no longer in the basement. They're above 500, and they almost are in the positive for run differential. And nice. I think you could make a strong case Zach Wheeler is an MVP candidate for the Phillies. He's come back and allowed them to get rid of Taijuan Walker. Currently, I think we're trying to clone Zach Wheeler so that we can have a second Zach Wheeler start every turn and get rid of Andrew Painter. But until then, like, you've got half of your rotation that has a decent shot at giving you a chance to win every time through. And I think props for him coming back from the severity of the injury he had. That thoracic outlet syndrome is no joke. And a lot of guys don't come back the same from it. He's come back and basically returned to his top 5 Cy Young consideration form. And the Phillies desperately needed him to do that. And so I just think that's worth mentioning, like, that the Phillies are where they are now because he's put them in a position to win the 8 starts that he's made so far this year. Earned run average in the 2s. Like, he's looked every part of what they're paying him to be. Kudos to him.
Well, your final piece is now available. Like, you already know that. Your missing piece, kind of going into this season is now available.
Tarek Skubal.
Nope. Nick Castellanos was DFA'd, and he's available.
Yes.
And so you guys could bring him back, and then the whole gang would be back together at that point. So
speaking of the division, this week is a litmus test weekend for the Philly. For the Philly. They were just in Toronto. They go up to Milwaukee for a weekend series. Friday, you get 2 different ends of the spectrum. Jacob Mizorowski with his 7-2 record and a 1.5 earned run average against Andrew Painter and his 1-7 record and a 6.21 earned run average. That's going to be a dumpster fire.
Hammer the Phillies if you're going to put some action on the game.
However, Sunday, and talk about a great candidate for Sunday Night Baseball if we could flex games. Sunday, you got Phillies Brewers, Christopher Sanchez versus Kyle Harrison. Both of them, Sanchez is 8-2, Harrison 7-1. Sanchez has a 1.54 earned run average, Harrison 2.72, and that jumped because he got lit up by the A's in that dumpster fire of a start in Las Vegas. But they've both played well. So while the Phillies are playing in Milwaukee, the Braves are going to the Mets. And Juan Soto's been playing better. The Mets have started to look like a team that has hundreds of millions of dollars spent on them. And it'll be interesting to see. This might be a weekend where if the Phillies could take 2 out of 3 and the Mets are able to take 2 out of 3 from the Braves, all of a sudden you've got 8 games back, 7 games back. It starts to become a tighter division. So, we'll see what happens.
I think that's interesting, but at the same time, I think it's worthy of note, like, you're exactly right. The Phillies, their trajectory is so different than it was, but over it all, they've only gained a game on the Braves. They've went from 10 games back to 9. So it's like the Braves just continue just to roll. And Ronald Acuna actually seems like he's alive now, and he's starting to hit for some productivity. So,
except for his hamstring. He's not sure about his hamstring, day to day. We'll see what happens with that. But
at the end of the day, who is sure about their hamstring? You know,
That is true.
we're a minute away from a poll. Hey, this was fun.
It was. And before we go, one last card to leave you with that I literally just pulled. Do you have a Dugan Darnell rookie card?
Dear.
That is the kind of rookie cards you're looking for.
There are guys who have a cup of coffee in the big leagues. I'm not convinced that picture was actually taken during an actual game because there's no way that guy actually pitched.
Yeah. Well, we've definitely just recorded this podcast. We'll be back next week. And until then,
like the game in Las Vegas, we're out of here.
And not like Aaron Judge, who's on the injured list.
We're out of here.
Yeah, we're out of here.